Hey guys, so the next few videos are going to be kind of all over the place and hopefully they helped. They will help. I'm going to redo this one because I watched it and I was talking way too fast and I think I can distill the concepts even better. So last year I went from like 1600 HD to 2K HD pretty easily to 1950 HD level like super fast. I think in like 2 or 3 months because you can just straight follow a build order and I was decent at StarCraft 2. So it's pretty easy to do that. And by decent, as I'd say like high masters or like anywhere in masters probably right now in StarCraft 2 would have an easy time coming over to this game and just like straight copying a build. And I'm kind of more from the Brood War era where it was much more mechanical and like just work on the build first before even working on the strategy or attacking anyone. So I don't know, I kind of approached it that way for this game. And so I think it's easier to learn from because I have like a straightforward path on how I hit, let's just call it 1900 HD last year, which is probably like 2K HD this year for point inflation. And easy to explain. And oh, my micro's horrible and my map reading is horrible. I can't imagine anyone else is much worse than mine. So yeah, so I can take that out of the equation. I'm not getting away with it with good micro or anything. Um, I always like to view the game like. Let me start out from scratch. Actually, let's just start out from scratch. So I'm gonna be talking about like one, like all this stuff I did to like I think that would be important, the stuff that helped the most, and then two, a lot of it's kind of changing the way you think about the game because you'll see lots of stuff that happens where you'll know it's bad, like floating 1K wood or having a build just idle over here. But that stuff will fix itself, and it's much harder to fix like the way you think about the game, and why it's so hard to like teach people this game, because it just takes a lot of work, and everyone kind of views the game differently and needs to work on different parts of the game. But I think if you change the way you think about the game and have like some kind of metrics for what's going good or bad, basically if you're good at analyzing the game, it'll help you. Um, yeah. And I see some people where they'll focus so much on the strategic parts of the game where the I was even doing it and Spring caught me doing it one game where you can just straight do a build and just it'll be better than overthinking stuff. But jumping into it really quickly, any RTS game I view as this, where you have your end unit composition you want in like the last age or tech. Sorry, my cat is meowing at me. Shut up, cat. Cat. um, but Imp here for Hun Wars, well, everyone probably knows Cav Archer, Hussar, Siege Ram. There's different ways to get up there though, and this is what I didn't really realize at the time. Is like all the way here in the middle. If you open up Scouts, you go Archer, Expo, Cav Archer. Sweet deal. We all know that. On the left, Drush Fast Castle or Drush Flush into Archer, Expo, Cav Archer. Skip the Scouts. That gets up here, and then all the way on the right, you can just skip everything. You can skip the Scouts and the Drush and just go straight Archers for like let's say 23 pop double range, 23 pop flush, and then get up there. It's still viable, hard to do. Uh, Viper did it against Spring in a game earlier this month. But yeah, it all kind of flows up there. This is just for a standard game. I didn't put forwards or any craziness in here. Um, yeah, so I like to view it as like a backwards type approach and start at step like 100, let's call this, and then reverse engineer it versus starting at step 1 and going forward. So like I guess what that would mean is I view it as like a Michi map where you just want to straight boom to imp. You don't want to really make any units because it's better just to boom and then make a ton of units. It's much more efficient. But the reason you can't do that is because then they'll add in like a drush, and now all of a sudden the person who went drush fast castle is ahead of the person who went straight fast castle, and then they'll add in maybe Archer Expo, and now all of a sudden they're ahead of the person who tried to skip those and just jump straight to Cav Archer. And you can get the idea that way. Next thing is probably mostly what I'm covering in the next videos to come. It took me a while to figure this out, but there's different times to click castle after opening scouts and how many units you can have. So really only have to focus on two things here, and it's not the numbers so much because I'll tie it all in at the end here really quickly. But on the left for like an 18-minute castle click, you have a handful of scouts, let's call it. On the right, 20-minute to 20-30 castle click, you have about 10 bloodline scouts. In the middle, you have middle ground. So 19-minute 15 seconds to 19-minute 45-second castle click. This is really common for a lot of players. Let's just call it 7 bloodline scouts. Right in the middle. What that shows though is you don't have to really quote unquote like kill stuff with your scouts. It's nice to kill stuff and idle their eco, but really I kind of view it more as like a race against time. So I'm just trying to prevent this person that's going super fast castle click from having the eco to make a ton of expo and doing damage if I went like this build over here on the right. So like I always used to be like, oh my gosh, I'm making 7 bloodline scouts, now all of a sudden I have to kill like 4 or 5 bills to make it even, which is wrong because like a lot of players won't kill anything. And I'm like, well, how is this working? Well, basically you just view it as like, if you're doing this build on the right and then you're doing this build in the middle, you're both going to this like Archer Expo Cav Archer type period, so you're just trying to get ahead for this period of the game. So however you want to do it, either like harassing their units and delaying them, or just having a better build and having more Archer Expo than they do. Like that's how you do it. At this level, like for sure. At higher levels, it's more just buying time, and you actually kind of do have to do damage at the higher levels. But yeah, I think about it more about as a function of time versus, oh, I have to kill stuff now. And I play like better when I'm just more defensive with my stuff. I'm just using it to stay alive. That's the other thing too, I didn't wall at all. So like I can't use that as an excuse that I just walled really well and read the map really well, because I didn't. It was awful. And yeah, it's a nice straightforward path to get really good really fast, and you can practice this in single player. Try this build and see how hard it is to do, and that's why no one at lower levels does it. People have a hard time doing this middle build, but it's pretty sweet. And this build on the right, people will kind of more do a build like this, but they'll click up castle like a minute and a half or more later is the problem, and they don't have as many Archer Expo as they should. That's the gist of it though, and this is all very centered on like just having a ton of Expo and in a timely manner and having more and just better eco. Pretty straightforward, nothing sexy, not too interesting, but it works, and it's easy to like measure yourself to figure out if you're doing it right or wrong. And I think I already said you can practice it in single player, and it's way harder to do in multiplayer. You can just kind of blindly do it. Simple stuff. Hopefully it helps. So yeah, that's basically it. It's how I view the game. Everything's centered around Archer Expo, and it's very build order oriented. And I like the numbers are important. I think it's the easiest thing to teach and the easiest way to go about the game. So hopefully I'll give some easy metrics for like measuring yourself. But then when you play, you'll get used to it and be like, oh, it doesn't really matter too much. Like there's other parts of the game that are more important after you hit like 2K HD or whatever. So it'll benefit both people. Hopefully if you're not a numbers person, you'll see that it's like it's easy stuff. You see the same stuff over and over. It's not that big of a deal, and very quickly they don't matter because everyone's doing the same thing anyway. And then if you're able to eye it, hey, it's all the more power to you, and then you don't have to worry about this. I wish I could eye stuff, but I always have a tendency to kind of go back to this, and it's probably just still because I suck at the game. So yeah, that's it, and I'll end the video here.